Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss Paradise Lost by John Milton. We are going to cover each and everything in this particular video lecture. So stay tuned till the end if you really want to learn about this thoroughly. It was written by John Milton in 1667. Milton was blind when he wrote it and he had to speak the words, and his daughter used to write them down on a diary. So the first version of Paradise Lost came in 1667. It has total 10 books, but then another version of Paradise Lost came in 1674, and this new version has 12 books. So write down in your notebook, because it has been asked in the many competitive exams in many previous year questions, when was the second version was published and how many books were there. So 10 books in first version, 12 books in second version. So actually in 1652 John Milton got blind. He was only 44 years old at that period of time, but he didn't let his blindness to stop him from writing. Every day he would memorize some 30-40 lines and then ask his daughters to write down, and his daughters named Anne, Mary and Deborah would write for their father. Sometimes his friends would also help. So Milton used to speak each line of the poem slowly and very carefully. So whoever was helping John Milton to write this Paradise Lost used to write down exactly what he was speaking. So sometimes he would ask them to read the lines what they have written down, whether to cross check whether they have written down the same thing as he was speaking. So this was not an easy work, as you know. His daughters used to sit for many hours. The daughter had to write very carefully, even very quickly, to keep up with their fathers, because Milton is speaking 30 to 40 lines at once. So they have to write down in neat and clean writing so that they can speak back to the Milton. And then Milton used a lot of Latin and Greek words in his poems. So it was difficult for daughters to write every single thing. So moreover, they had to spend many hours, many hours for each day, because this work is written down in 7 years. Milton took 7 years to complete this particular poem. So let's first briefly talk about what's there in the poem, and then we will discuss book by book summary. All the 12 books of Paradise Lost we will be discussing. The poem starts with Satan, who is in hell. Actually Satan was not evil in the beginning. He was actually a good friend, a good angel of God's. God has created a most beautiful paradise. God has created a lot of powerful angels. So Satan was one of the angels. His original name was Lucifer. Lucifer means light bringer or morning star. So he was very close to God and he had a high position in heaven. But Satan developed a big problem, which is pride. Yes, he became jealous, anger when God announced that his son should be worshipped by all angels. His son is Jesus Christ. This is all written in Bible. So John Milton writes Paradise Lost taking the help of Bible. So God has a son named Jesus, and God wants that everyone should worship his son, including all the angels which was created by the God. So now Satan did not want to bow down to anyone. So he thought he was just as good as God's son. So Satan did something very bold. He convinced 1/3 of the angels of the universe to support him, to join him in a rebellion against God. He told them they should not have to serve anyone. They did not have to serve the powerful God. They should do the war against the God. So the war begins between God and Satan, and the war happened for 3 days. All these information are important, so write down. So it happened for 3 days and Satan lost the war. So God threw Satan into the hell. He took him out of the heaven and he sent him into hell. And for 9 days, Satan kept on falling before he actually fell in a lake. Now this lake is not a lake of water, but it is lake of fire. So Satan's pride, instead, he became more, more determined to fight against the God, to fight against his universe that God is going to create. So here Satan says his famous line, better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven. This shows how pride can make someone
choose something which is bad, something which is evil, just because they get to be in control, get to be in power. So Satan makes a new plan. He finds that God is creating a new universe. God is creating new human beings, Adam and Eve, giving them the beautiful garden. Okay, so the name of this garden is Garden of Eden. And Satan decides if he can't hurt God directly, he will hurt his new creation. He will hurt Adam and Eve. So Satan transforms himself in a snake so that he can trick Adam and Eve. So God created Garden of Eden. He created a lot of trees, fruits, okay, everything in the in that Garden of Eden for Adam and Eve to enjoy the life. But then he tell them one rule, that do not eat the fruit from one tree. The tree name is the tree of knowledge. Do not eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge. God asked Adam and Eve to show their love. Okay, if Adam and Eve love the God, if they respect the God, they should not eat the of knowledge. They can show their loyalty to the God by not eating the fruit from the tree of knowledge. So God did not want to stop them also. Okay, God says if you want to eat, you can eat. But then if you want to show love and respect to me, then you should avoid it. But then if you eat it, then it has its own consequences. You can eat it. So Satan convinces both of them to eat the fruit of knowledge. That's why God got angry and sent Adam and Eve out of the garden. So this is the story not about disobeying the God. It's about a bigger ideas that sometimes we also do wrong things in our life. We do a lot of wrong things. It has a lot of wrong consequences also. But even after doing the mistake, if we accept our mistake before God, then God is most merciful. He will forgive us. So why it is happening? What is the main motive of this poem? We will discuss now all these things in these 12 books, in these 12 short summaries.
But before beginning this video, you can join our ongoing batch on all these competitive exams in English literature. Here are some reviews from the students that will help you make the decision.
I have qualified GRF this time because of Nakul Grover sir only. Without his notes, it was impossible for me to crack such a big exam.
Without you, it was impossible for me to crack the NET exam.
I have qualified my UGC NET in my first attempt.
He also acts like a guardian as well as a mentor. In every difficult path, he's always available whenever we need him.
My immense thanks to Nakul Grover sir and Limitless Literature.
It is very helpful and easy to understand. He supported me a lot.
I would definitely recommend Limitless Literature to all the NET aspirants out there.
Limitless literature with limitless guidance.
If you want to crack UGC NET with GRF in English literature, I highly recommend you to join with Limitless Literature.
And now, without any further ado, let's continue with this discussion.
So in the first book, the poem opens in hell after Satan have been defeated by God. Okay, so Satan is lying in burning lake with his friend Beelzebub. Satan and Beelzebub have fallen from the heaven. It took them 9 days to land into the lake of fire in the hell. So Satan is in great pain, but his pride is still unbroken. He refuses to give up. He wants to take the revenge from the God. And now here Satan gathers everyone, all the supporters, all the fallen angels together and gives them an inspirational speech. Okay, this is about the book first. He gave an inspirational speech to motivate all of them to fight against the God. So he showed his leadership skill by making them feel important even in defeat. So millions of angels raised their swords in support and said that yes, they are going to fight against the God. And they all were moved by the Satan's word. So they started following Satan's plan. Now what Satan did, he commanded to create a pandemonium. Okay, pandemonium is a kingdom. Pandemonium means place for all the demons who are going to live there, because there are millions of fallen angels who are in support with the Satan. So they created pandemonium. Pandemonium is like a giant pyramid with huge doors, okay, huge roof. It is big enough that thousands of angels can live in this pandemonium. Pandemonium is a word created by John Milton himself. So the book 1 is the opening of the poem, which explains Milton's whole purpose to justify the ways of God to men. Even though he was a villain, but he had a great leadership quality. So in this book, the fallen angels start a meeting. Okay, so everyone start a meeting what to do next, and everyone suggests different ideas how they can take the revenge from God. So now Satan knew that God is very powerful and he cannot beat the God. So he has different plan. He comes to know that God is creating some sort of universe where the new species called humans will be created. So he decides to spoil God's new universe, God's new creation. And of course, everyone agreed to initiate this plan. Whoever was there in the millions of fallen angels agreed to initiate this plan. Satan starts moving to earth. So the difference between the hell and the earth, so this is the distance between hell and earth. It is known as chaos. So Satan had to go through this chaos to reach the earth. And in middle of his journey, he meets death and sin. So sin was a gatekeeper earlier in the God's heaven. She was very beautiful and Satan was attracted to sin. In the heaven only, Satan started liking sin. So you see how evil attracts evil. And sin was very beautiful and Satan was attracted to her. She helped to start this rebellion. And God was angry because of the sin. God sent the sin to hell also. Sin was very beautiful, but now she is ugly. Okay, the same goes with the death. So death, no one knows how death looks like. Death is like a black shadow. No one knows when death comes, when death goes. So death is also sort of negative thing, is also sort of evil thing. Okay, sin and death, they start constructing bridge between hell and the earth. Okay, so that it will get easier for the Satan to bring evil to the earth. And now by the end of this Paradise Lost, we will also see that sin and death will surely create the bridge between the hell and the earth, so that it will get easier for both of them to bring the evil things to the earth. Before moving on to the book 3, make sure that you are writing down everything, because they can ask you in which book the Milton has talked about which thing. Okay, the hell was introduced in which book, the Adam and Eve came in which book, God appeared in which book. They have asked many times in the previous year questions. So write down as it is what I'm talking in these videos. So now this third book is all about heaven, which is different from hell. Okay, so remember that heaven appears in book 3, as I have talked to you. Like they will ask you in which book the heaven appeared. So in book 1 and 2 we are only talking about Satan and hell, and now we are talking about God's heaven in book 3. Now God is in heaven and sitting on his throne and talking to his son about what's happening. Okay, so Jesus is son of the God. So God is talking to his son, and God also knows what Satan is planning. He knows Satan will tempt Adam and Eve, and both of them will get tempted because of the plan of Satan. So God already knows everything. God already knows what's going to happen, what's going to be the next. But he has given free will to human beings. He has given the choice to human beings to choose between good and evil. So it's on human beings what they choose. God loves everyone. God loves everyone. So he does not want to be strict on his people. So God watches Satan to go to the earth. And he can also see the future and knows Adam and Eve will fall. Yet God is very calm and God is in very control. So we have the son here, the son Jesus, which I have talking. So who says that if something bad happens, if human beings choose the evil, he will sacrifice himself to save the humanity. To save the humanity because of the sins done by the humanity. So this shows the son is very lovable towards God. The son has a lot of mercy. The son respects the God. And that's how we see in the future that Jesus Christ sacrificed himself for the human beings. Satan now reaches the outer edge of the universe. He is not yet into the earth. He disguises himself as a young angel to trick the angel Uriel into showing him where earth is. So Uriel is the watchman of God. His job is to watch over the newly created earth so that no one can enter the earth. So he's a security guard on the earth. Okay, so Satan transforms himself into a young innocent boy, young innocent angel, so that he can trick Uriel and enter earth. So Milton calls Satan, who is now a young innocent angel, as stripling cherub. So now here Satan encounters Uriel and starts praising God's work, and Satan starts talking to Uriel so enthusiastically that Uriel comes in the talk of Satan. Satan deceives him, and Uriel allows him to enter the earth because Uriel thinks that he is such a boy, what he can do. Let him go, let him enjoy the earth, let him come back again. Okay, so that's what is in the book 3. Now in the book 4, we see the Garden of Eden for the first time. Remember, the Garden of Eden appears in the book 4 for the first time. Okay, and we look it through the Satan's eye. So everything, Satan is very much awestruck by the beauty of the garden. The garden is so perfect. Flowers always blooming. Fruits are there. Fruits are always ripe. Weather is always pleasant. Very cheerful weather. So we see Adam and Eve working in garden. Adam and Eve making love with each other and living in perfect harmony, in perfect happiness. So that's the first time we see Adam and Eve also. So they can ask in which book Adam and Eve appears. So that's a previous year question also. Satan watches both of them enjoying their life, and Satan gets very jealous. Satan feels that he is doing wrong with such innocent people. Why he is going to destroy this beautiful place made by the God. But Satan immediately gets to aware about his own pride. So this shows that even Satan can recognize beauty and goodness and virtue, but his pride makes him continue with doing evil things in his life. So now here what happens is that there are a lot of security guards and some good angels capture the Satan in the garden. They arrest him and bring him before Gabriel. Gabriel and Satan have a tense conversation. Satan says that he left hell because he didn't like hell, so he was finding a better place to live. But Gabriel finds that Satan is lying. So God is always looking from the top, from the heaven, and he sends a sign in the sky that leaves Satan. Leave him. Let him do whatever he wants to do. So it's also a sign that no matter how much evil we do in our lives, God is always watching us from the heaven. God knows everything. He was looking at the Satan and the discussion of Gabriel, and he allowed Satan to do whatever he wants to do. Now this book begins Eve telling Adam that she saw a terrible dream. In the dream, someone tempted her to eat the forbidden fruit. And actually Eve was sleeping and Satan whispers in her ears. Okay, he whispers in her ears while she was sleeping. He wants Eve to eat the fruit of knowledge. So he whispers while she was sleeping. And he says, if she eats the fruit of knowledge, she will be equal. She will be as much as powerful as God. Whereas God is watching everything from heaven. He sends the angel Raphael to warn Adam. Raphael tells Adam everything from the beginning, that how there was a fight, how there was a war between Satan and God, and how God has sent him to hell, and now Satan is here for revenge, and Satan wants you to eat the forbidden fruit, the tree of knowledge. He wants Adam to understand how evil things exist in the universe, and how even the brightest of angel like the Satan could fall through because of the pride. So now book 6 is again the continuation of warning that Raphael is giving to the Adam. Okay, in the book 5 we have seen he was talking about the fight between the God and Satan. Okay, so we don't have to go into the depth in book 6. But remember, in this book we learn about how the invention of weapons occurred in that period of time. So that's also a symbol that knowledge can be used for evil things, like creating the weapons. So that's what there in the book 6. You don't have to go in depth. Now we have book 7, where again Raphael is continuing his story. You have seen in book 5, in book 6, book 7, Raphael is only talking about the warning that he is giving to Adam. And now he is also describing everything from the very beginning. So in this book, he is telling about the creation. He is telling that how God created the world. So it is also important. You can find a question that when did, in which book the God created the universe. So God created the light, God created the sky, the sea, the land, the plants, animals, and finally human beings. So Satan is here to destroy everything. Satan wants to take the revenge from the God, to be as powerful as God. So this is what the book 7 talks about. Now in book 8, Adam talks with Raphael. So before that, Raphael is talking to the Adam, and now Adam is talking with Raphael. So here he says that God has created him, God has created the paradise, God has given them the fruits, the vegetables and everything, and God has also commanded them not to eat the forbidden fruit. So Adam is lonely and he asked the God to create Eve. So God created Eve from Adam's rib. While he slept. When Adam first saw Eve, he started falling in love with her. And in this book, Raphael also warns Adam not to love Eve too much, because if you love Eve so much, then your love for God will get less. So you have to love the God. That's a warning to the Adam and Eve. Okay, so that's what Raphael is talking about in this particular book. This is the most important book. Book 9 is the most important book where everything is going to change. So Satan is already in the Garden of Eden and he is watching Adam and Eve, and he was waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect moment when he can tempt both of them. So one day when Eve and Adam was working in a field, so Eve suggests Adam that we should do more work because there are a lot of work is pending. So you go at that side and I will be working over here. So Adam was hesitant about this because he knows that Satan is already in the earth. Raphael has already warned him. But Adam said, okay, I will do the work somewhere else. So Eve started working alone and Satan finds an opportunity to tempt her. Now Satan, what did he do was he transformed himself into a serpent. Serpent is so beautiful, is so majestic. Satan deliberately makes himself attractive and eye-catching, because if you are eye-catching, if you are attractive, if you have a beautiful appearance, then people likely to believe you. Okay, because appearance is something people judge the book by its cover. You need to make them interested in what you have to say. You have to appear very beautiful. When Eve looked at serpent, she got mesmerized, she got curious to know about, wow, a serpent can talk like human beings. So she was very curious and she starts talking to Satan. Now Satan says that he was a regular serpent crawling on the ground, eating dust like other snakes, other serpents. But one day he says he saw a beautiful fruit on the tree of knowledge, and he picked up the fruit and he ate that fruit. Something amazing happened. He gained the ability to talk like human beings, to think, to have a reason, to speak. He got all the abilities as human beings have. Even claims that now he is doing so much heavenly things and he is now equal to the God. So he starts flattering the Eve, saying that if you eat the fruit the way I did, imagine what it could be for her. Eve is so beautiful already, and he suggests that maybe God does not want you to eat the fruit, because if you eat the fruit you will become more beautiful, more wise than God. So maybe the God is stopping you. You see, nothing gets harm. I have also eaten it and nothing happened. You can also eat it. So Eve is very innocent. She doesn't understand that someone might lie to her, because it's the first time someone is lying to her. It's the first time someone is having the evil intentions. So she also believed in Satan, that yes, maybe he is right, because she has never been manipulated. She has never seen such betrayal earlier. So Eve got convinced and she eats the fruit from tree of knowledge. She immediately feels differently and more aware, but she is now ashamed. She got the awareness that she has done something evil. She realizes that she has committed a crime. She has committed a sin. She does not want to lose the Adam also. Adam also does not want to lose the Eve. Adam was in love with Eve. Adam was in love with her. So Adam also chooses to eat the fruit also. Adam even knows it's wrong to eat the fruit, but he cannot bear to be separated from Eve. And after both of them ate the fruit, Adam and Eve both started feeling ashamed of themselves. They realized that they are naked. Okay, they were already naked earlier, but now they are feeling embarrassment that they are naked. Immediately, both of them started covering themselves from the leaves. Okay, they started putting out the leaves from the tree and they started putting around their bodies because they are naked. And then comes the most painful part. They started arguing with each other. They started blaming each other. Why did you eat the fruit? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? They started blaming each other. And then God appeared. And Adam quickly points out that Eve has eaten the fruit. You have given this woman to me, and she gave me the fruit. Now you see, Adam has started blaming the God also, that it's because of you that Eve came into my life. And even Eve says that I didn't do anything. The serpent deceived me, and it's not my mistake. So now the blame game starts between both the couples, in between the two people. That's what happens in our lives. When something bad happens between husband and wife, they start blaming each other. They start the blame game rather than taking responsibility of being a good husband, being a good wife. They start doing fights with each other. Blame game begins in every relationship. So from here, evil begins to happen in lives of human beings. That's why the marriages do not work, because everyone is into the blame game, because of you, because of this, because of that. So that's why God said you not to touch the fruit of knowledge. The fruit of knowledge, which is the fruit of knowledge of good and evil things. It will make you aware about what is good and what is evil. So now in the book 10, God announces the punishments to everyone, even including the serpent. God says that the serpent must always be crawling on its belly. It will have pain in childbirth and must obey her husband. Adam must work hard to grow food and eventually die. Meanwhile, I have talked about sin and death. So sin and death successfully created the bridge between hell and the earth. So now it's easier for the evil to enter the earth with the help of this bridge. Okay, so that's what the job of sin and death in this particular poem. So that's what is in book 10. Now let's discuss book 11. After God decides Adam and Eve must leave the Garden of Eden, so God calls Michael to escort them out. Michael is again a good angel, and Michael showed the way Adam and Eve to get out from the paradise, okay, to get out from the Garden of Eden. Michael said you should not have eaten the fruit of knowledge, and Michael showed them the future, how your future looks like. So Michael creates a display screen sort of thing, and he started showing them the future. So in the display screen, Adam sees that he has two sons, Cain and Abel. Cain will kill his other son Abel out of jealousy. This is the first death in human history. Okay, Cain and Abel. Abel is the first death in human history. Adam and Eve got very terrified because they do not know how the death look like. Okay, and Abel's body is lying lifeless on the ground. He was bleeding because Cain has put him to the death. Okay, so he is not able to understand what is happening. So Michael explains everything. Michael explains the death and the punishment that God had given them, because if you do evil, you have the evil consequences, and ultimately the evil consequences lead to death. Okay, so this is just the beginning of what Michael was showing Adam and Eve, that how the future will look like. So Adam shows the series of vision about humanity, about the future, and each of one revealing how sin will corrupt the human beings. So Adam here sees people becoming sick, first appearance of disease. So disease starts getting around in the world. They witness wars where human beings are killing each other. What he's looking at, he has never seen before. The people is getting excessive in lust. Okay, people are forgetting everything. Their mind is not working in lust. People dying of various diseases, some going mad with fever, others wasting away from illness, people growing old and feeble, families grieving for their dead, nations fighting against nations, and at last natural disasters affecting the communities. So all these visions fill Adam with grief. Okay, he realizes that his one act of disobedience has brought all his suffering into his next and next and next generation, not just for himself but also for his children, for next to next generation. So Michael is not just showing him the bad things. He is also showing him the good things. He is showing that it's not only the bad thing is going to happen with the people. He shows people who remain faithful to God. If you are faithful to God, despite of every suffering, you will feel very good. He shows Noah and the ark, demonstrating how God will save some people from the flood. He shows examples of people helping each other and showing kindness even in difficult times. So now here we have book 12, which is the continuation of book 11. Michael is continuing showing the future to the Adam and Eve in this book also. So he explains how God will send his son to be born as a human being, Jesus Christ. And he says that to defeat the Satan, we do not require the power, but we require sacrifice and love. So human beings can find their inner paradise anytime by following the God and doing what is right, doing the good things in their life. Now Michael finishes here. Adam and Eve leave together the paradise, the Eden of garden. They are sad, but they are hopeful. They can live a peaceful life if the God is in their heart. Paradise on earth can be created if the God is in the heart of every human being. So God is very merciful. If he remain in the remembrance of God, he will create the inner paradise and he will live a good life. So Paradise Lost remains literature's most profound exploration of human choices and of course divinity mission, the struggle between the good and evil, showing us how even after we do a lot of crimes in the life, okay, there are murderers who do crime in this world, there is still a hope for redemption if turn towards God and start living a moral life, start living a good life, we will be redeemed. Even though we have lost the paradise, the Eden of garden, but we can create a paradise here, paradise within us, paradise on this earth through a good and moral living. And in trust of God, we can do everything. So here we come to the end of this particular poem. We come to the end of this particular video. So make sure that you are writing down every single thing that we have discussed because we may find questions from here. So I will see you soon in the next video. That's it for this. Thank you.